Hello everyone, Elizabeth Talbot here. We continue with our Fear Not series. And I know that there are many things that might give us fear. Finances or the future or relationships or things like that. But today I want to talk to you about something different. I want to talk to you about unexpected storms. So today's title is Fear Not Unexpected Storms. You know, things that you were not expecting at all, that you were not planning for, and all of a sudden, bam, it comes. And you're like, what am I going to do about this? I'm going to show you a photo of the last time I was on the Sea of Galilee. This is a big boat, and it was quite a large group, actually. And it's such a beautiful thing to visit the Sea of Galilee. But every time I go, I think of the same thing. I think of this particular storm that we're going to study today. How this storm affected the disciples so rapidly, so quickly, that they didn't know what to do. And sometimes we find ourselves in situations like that. It could be a bad report from the lab. It could be something that happened in society. It can be a fire in our house. It can be any type of thing that we were not counting on, that we were not planning for. And so today we are going to go to this storm on the Sea of Galilee in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 8. That's where we're going to head today. Verse 23 is where we start. When he got into the boat, his disciples followed him, and behold, there arose a great storm on the sea. It's interesting because these two words actually in the Greek are very interesting. Great is mega, and the storm, Matthew chooses a word in Greek, seismos, that we use for earthquakes, like seismology or seismograph, right? He says this was a mega shaking. It wasn't just a little storm. It was a mega shaking. The Sea of Galilee is about 700 feet below sea level, and so it's prone to these storms because the wind comes through the hills. But the size of the boat doesn't help. You know, they discovered from the first century a fishing boat that would have been pretty much the size that Jesus, the boat where Jesus was at, would have been. And so there is a museum in Ginosar in Israel, and they have this boat. They discovered in 1986. And we went there, and then this is a little video clip that was taken there. It's such a small boat. It's like 8.2 meters long and 2.3 meters wide. And I tell you, 13 people, if the 12 disciples were with him, this would have been already overcrowded without a storm. But with the storm, they're going down. And the verse says that in this mega seismos, the boat was being covered with the waves. And so you can imagine this hectic moment, this sudden storm. And I brought some little ropes here that I have from my camping equipment. Imagine the disciples on this side of the reality with ropes, trying the best they can, trying to bring the boat in. And then at the end of this same verse, in verse 24, it says, but Jesus himself was asleep. So I have a pillow here for Jesus' reality, and I have the rope for the disciples' reality. And the reason why I brought a pillow is because when Mark tells the same story in Mark chapter 4, verse 38, it says that Jesus was asleep with his head on a pillow in the stern. So this is a pillow. Jesus is sleeping. They're going crazy. So there are two opposite realities. And sometimes we have to choose which reality we're going to fall into when we hit a sudden storm. And so Jesus is sleeping. And they came to him, verse 25, and woke him saying, save us, Lord, we're perishing. Again, this same reality of the desperate cry for help. And the fishermen in this case are coming to the carpenter for help. They've been in storms many times, but this storm is different. And it's interesting because The Greek original language here has only 3 words. In English, there are more, but in Greek, it says something like, Lord, save, perishing. You know, when you only have those 1-word prayers left because the storm is so strong, so fierce that you only get some words to pray. That's where the disciples are. Lord, save, perishing. And Jesus says, on the same verse, on the next verse, verse 26, why are you afraid? You know, this rope versus pillow reality. You know, they're going crazy with the boat, and he's like asleep. And they're saying, please save us, we're perishing. And Jesus says, why are you afraid? What do you mean, why? Isn't it obvious why? Because we're in the middle of a storm that we cannot control. We can't fix it. We don't even understand it. So he addresses their fear before he addresses the storm. Why are you afraid, you men of little faith? So obviously the faith level has something to do with which reality we choose in the middle of the sudden storm. Then after he talked to them about their fear and their faith, he got up and rebuked the wind and the sea as if they were 2 misbehaving children. He rebuked the winds and the sea, and he became perfectly calm. So what is interesting about the Greek is that the perfectly calm now is the word mega again. They got a mega calm. Before they had a mega seismos, a mega shaking, and they couldn't control it, and Jesus was sleeping. They asked for help, and Jesus said, why are you afraid? And then they had a mega shaking. He brought a mega calm. There's always 2 realities in every sudden storm. One is that we can't control it. We can't fix it. And the other one is that Jesus is in the boat. And the reason why he could sleep is the same reason why I could sleep when I was a little kid. You know, when we went on trips, I didn't know where we were going. I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't know when even storms came on the road. But my daddy was driving, and that was good enough for me. Well, Jesus is sleeping for the same reason. His daddy is in control of the storm. And our daddy is in control of the storm. They were so amazed, says verse 27. The men were amazed and said, what kind of a man is this that even the winds and the sea obey him? Jesus would have power not only over nature, but if you continue reading, he would have power over demons, over disease, and even over death in the next chapter or so. So God is in control of all of our sudden storms. We are not. God is with us. And what is important to remember is that the storms don't catch Jesus by surprise. He knows the storms. And even though we may feel powerless, remember this, we are powerless. As we have said in another program, we are powerless, but Jesus is powerful. So the same way that he has saved us, and I think it's very interesting to remember this, we couldn't save ourselves. We were powerless over saving ourselves. And Jesus was powerful to save us through his blood at the cross. The same way that our salvation works, our daily lives work. So when we are facing, sudden storms that we cannot do anything about, that we don't understand, can't fix, and can't control, remember, God is powerful and he will see you through. After all, peace is not the absence of trouble, it's the presence of Christ. He's in our boat. He's God with us. So fear not sudden storms.